Musa, who says, how do I lose what I do not even have in the first place? Remember, I have a degree in economics and also chemistry, mathematics graduate teacher too, and yet I do not have a job. I'll read one more before we I reintroduce the panel that we have. We should stop borrowing from international markets, focus on development, and encourage entrepreneurship. That is from Jay. So what is your experience? Remember, like I mentioned, we're going to be opening up the phone lines just to hear what your experience is. But it seems like in Kenya, we are in a dire straits. And just a quick reminder of who we have on set. We have Ambrose Sweda, Michael Agwanda, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, and shortly we're going to be joined by Honorable Tom Odege as we continue with the conversation. But let's just take a look at what the current situation is in terms of the statistics that we have on the jobs and the situation in the country. And we start off with, well, quick facts. 840,600 jobs created in 2018. We also have 800 jobs created in 2017. And also 9.3% unemployment in 2019. This, of course, is way below what the government had promised in terms of opportunities that will be created for the youth, falling short of that. We also have 2,000 jobs lost since July 2019. Let's also look at other facts that we have. And job cuts in 2019. This is, by the way, just this year. Stanbic has let go of 255 workers. We have Telcom, who have let go of 575 workers. East Africa Breweries and EABL, 100 workers. This is definitely going to have a very, very negative effect on the economy and also the situation of the country. East Africa Portland Cement has let go of 800 workers. So this is what we'd like to discuss and find out, what are we doing wrong? Other companies that has been affected, we do know that we had the exit of 2 betting companies, and as a result, as you can see, there is a loss of 763 jobs. SportPesa with 363 workers basically being let go, and betting also letting go of 400 workers. We also have supermarkets, and this story continues. This, of course, is looking at some of the some of the companies that are huge that have let go of their workers. It is also something that can be reflected on SMEs who are struggling to ensure and make sure that ends meet and try and create those jobs. We'll also want to say that maybe our education system is one that we'd like to look at in terms of creating, or rather giving people qualifications, but are they job creators? Are they people who think in terms of making jobs and creating opportunities, or are we thinking of getting employed? And maybe that's not the case. So that's what we'd like to discuss this morning. So we'll come to the panel, and I'll take this opportunity to also welcome Honorable Tom Odege for joining us. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And good to have you. But let's start with Michael Agwanda. Your thoughts on, first of all, the statistics and the grim numbers that we see of job losses that we've experienced. If we just did a quick math of those numbers that we have looked at there, we're looking at over 1,000 people who've been let go, and that's just this year.
Michael, I really don't know where the government gave the statistics of 9-point-something unemployment rate in this country.
9.3%.
I know, and I lived in the U.S. during 2008, 2009, when Obama was still the president, and the job, unemployment was about 9%, and it came to up to about 7%. Remember, this is a country literally where you go to, and if you have your papers, you walk next door and get a job. Now, that's a country that was actually priding themselves to have been, during that time, about 9% unemployment rate. And then it was brought up to at least 7-point-something, and now it's about 6-point-something. And President Trump is hugely happy with unemployment rate in his country because he really thinks that 6-point-something is such a good number that has never been there in many, many years. Now, in Kenya, when you talk about 9.3 unemployment rate, I wonder where this statistic is coming from. Everybody from my village that has finished school does not have a job. They have no ability to work next job and get a job. That is what it is with that statistics in America, where literally you can walk into the next shop and get a job. You don't have to finish school. In fact, as soon as you are in high school, you've already started working in Walmart, in Old Navy, whatever it is. It is available. You can go. In fact, the whole idea is sometimes you look at this statistic of unemployment abroad and you're thinking about people who really think, oh, it's just not yet time for me to go to work. I still want to hold on for the best work I'm looking for out there. Kenyans do not even have the choice of the best job that I need to get. And so when you say 9,000, and I know, Honorable Dega here is a unionist. He will tell us some of these things that we're talking about. But 900,000 plus in 2017, as they're saying, and 2018, the question is, who can give us the statistics of who absorbed even 500,000? Was it from the private sector? Maybe that's what the statistician needs to give us. From the government, this number, from the private sector, this number, and how it came about. I believe that this country, we are looking at about 50% of unemployment rate in this country. And so if that is the case, and by the way, other people will tell you that it's about 50 to 60% unemployment rate. We are having issues with students who are coming out of college, and you've read some of their tweet backs there, right. And they're saying, I have a degree, I have 2 degrees, but I can't get a job. In which country will you have 3 degrees and you don't have a job, and the statistic they're giving you is 9%? We are lying to ourselves in this country with some statistics.
Let's hear from a member of parliament, Honorable Tom Odege, who you've rightly said is also a unionist. Are these statistics accurate in your opinion? And secondly, where are we going wrong?
You know where we are rich as a country. When we talk about employment, we need to be somehow serious because
Carry on.
Those people who are looking at us now, majority of them are job seekers, and they have missed the opportunity to be employed. Let's just go back to the government itself. The government also, for the last, I would say, nearly 20 years, there is no serious employment in the government. So these are figures they are trying to project here. I don't know where they're coming from, because when the government is not employing, those who are coming out, now the private sector is also full, and they now say, now the economy is also not performing. Nobody is getting a job outside there. Some of us who are in parliament and have opportunity of receiving Kenyans who are desperately looking for the job, if somebody talks of 9-point-something%, I think that one is seriously underrated.
Erroneous.
Yeah.
But maybe to get to the crux of the matter, what is it that, where are we going wrong as a country that we're supposed to, well, Jubilee government had promised that they're going to be providing 1 million jobs or thereabouts per year, but that's not happening. What is the problem?
If you look at the approach of Jubilee, which they have not realized, they realized that the normal school system is not helping people to create jobs. That's why they came up with the idea of TVET and all this TTI and everything, which has not picked up very well. So as at now, as we are talking, we cannot say we have qualified professionals outside there who have created jobs. That's a lie. We are in the process of trying to see that we come up with a system which is going to generate jobs to Kenyans. But as we are talking now, it's a real problem. Kenyans are not getting employment. We have a serious problem.
Honorable Elachi, you sit in in the Nairobi County Assembly, and one of the things that has come up as we were doing a research on this is the high cost of running businesses. Even those who would want to start a business. The bureaucracy that one has to go through, the licensing, acquiring of those licenses, some of the things that one has to go through is it's purely high cost of starting up a business that makes it impossible for somebody who would want to do that. Do you agree?
Yes, I do agree. And I think where the challenge comes is that when we decided also some of these functions to go to county governments, and you find that county governments would wish to add more revenue in terms of where they are collecting revenue. I think that's where, again, we have not come up as a country, because this has to be handled at a very high level. If you want to create an environment that is conducive to those who are entrepreneurs SMEs especially. I think when SMEs started losing their jobs, their different businesses that they were doing from 2017, that is when we started feeling now the pinch in terms of how are we, and it was because of just our politics that created all these challenges. So for me, I think one, we must have a conducive environment. Two, we must ask ourselves, because I know some will think teaching, those are services where, you know, people go in. But, you know, you have to create an environment where people can employ others. And that is what is dying in our country. And then you come and find that even as we kill one, maybe because of, for example, let me talk about the betting part, where yes, we feel it has pulled our young people. But the biggest challenge is, as they close them, they did not now think, where are you taking the young people? Because now they have gotten used, at least they were going there, they were able to sit and use just their way of life of going into betting. You want to go in, you want to get a few shillings there, but we have closed immediately.
With no backup
no
plan of
mechanisms,
what happens, particularly to those who are employed in those
betting institutes. And we are forgetting, in those institutions, when you are employed, an African is not just your family. There are many people behind you that you also take care of. So when you're talking of 400, we know it's more than 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 people who have just been affected in the whole process. So I would wish to urge that I went on Saturday and at the Railway Museum, and I found these young artists with fantastic pieces. And then I asked myself, you know, why do we have embassies in our country and outside the country? It is because that is how you negotiate and see how you can see what is best in this country that we can trade in a bilateral way. So there are many things I'm thinking. There are some countries where we have ambassadors, but you wonder, is there something we can trade? Not the China or whatever, because there are some places you'll find where IKEA as a company, you will never throw anything. Leave the plastics we are talking about. If our young people are picked who have innovation, they will learn more skills to come and help others. So now you've started the TTIs. You want them to gain skills. But where is that environment that when this young man comes out, he has a fund somewhere, he can operate. So these are things we need to sit, not to do policy, not to ask young people that they don't have skills, but to go and see what young people are doing, because there are things they are doing, even these ones of plastic. You might find young people somewhere are trying
something,
but they don't have that empowerment of having the best to refine what they have so that it competes.
The little skill that they have.
It competes in the market.
Right.
So the finishing and the value addition that we keep on talking about, we must also ask. But I want to plead with government. Look at what we've done on SportPesa, and I hope when they are going, there are no small companies coming up
to take over that.
Yeah, because that will be very unfortunate again.
Let me bring in Weda here, whether a business environment or an environment that is conducive to ensure that we hone the skills that these young people have, even those who would want to, run businesses. It seems the same government that is talking about creating opportunities is the same government that is stifling those opportunities in two ways. One, the bureaucracy of starting up a small business. Secondly, even the hostile environment. I mean, you look at how council officers and those in government treat people who are trying to open up businesses. One wonders whether really they are interested in creating that environment.
Yeah, I think the day we wake up as a country that we want to grow, then we will easily grow. If you look at quite a number of businesses are run in the cities. That's where there are more people concentrated in a small area, and therefore the opportunities. But they must be within systems. Now, these systems can enable an environment where this business can thrive or they cannot. If you look at, let's say, City Hall, where a landed lady is a speaker, even getting building plan approvals,
Yeah.
they have closed it. Somebody just wakes up and says, I've sacked everybody. Therefore, we are not approving plans. Or when you approve, you have to bribe people. That is a problem. When you talk about basic order, because a business thrives where there's order. You open up your business here, in front, there are hawkers. These hawkers, they are not paying any license, they are doing what? Nobody is taking care. So you find the environment itself kills the very economy that is supposed to be an enabling environment. Order, lack of order. Leadership, you cannot predict what they say. In the morning, they tell you, you can put your wares near Kencom House, Kencom building, behind there. In the evening, maybe one leader was annoyed by the other, they throw you out. Lack of order. So you cannot plan and say, in the next 2 years, I want to grow this business. So I would like to say that if we are going to grow, we are going to create order, we are going to create security, we are going to allow people to plan long term. Now, let us also define what a job is. There are many jobs in this country. Many. When you people talk about, there are no jobs, you shock me. The only jobs that are lacking are jobs matched with skills. Maybe I've studied law. I need a law job. That may be limited. But there are jobs. Let me give you an example. In every new couple in this city working, they want a house girl or a houseboy. And those jobs are many. Why are they not having them? Dishonest. They will kill your child, they will smother the child, they will do all sorts of these things. So the jobs are there, people are willing to pay, dishonest. Number two, drivers. I want a driver. But you can't have a driver that if I say, take this car, take to Kisumu, you can see your vehicle is going to Eldoret. Yeah. Take my daughter to school, you can see he has gone to rape your daughter in the forest. Dishonesty. That is part, and the young people are crying. Please go back and be honest. We are looking for honest people. People you can put money in a bag and say, take to the bank. You are my messenger, take this money. They are not there. Everybody is a thief, dishonest. So it makes things very difficult. Otherwise, the jobs are there. They may not match our skills, but they are there.
Michael Agwanda, do you agree that we have a problem there? And some, of course, would argue and say, yes, there are dishonest people, but we also have very many people who are honest, looking for an honest living, but the opportunities may not be available.
I must ask Mr. Weda, with all due respect, that he should not say that everybody's a thief.
I know.
There, I think is wrong. He was overcarried with emotions. There are thieves out there, but not everybody. What I want to say is, indeed, just like Mr. Weda said, skill set, yes, it's lacking.
There's a gap.
But that's now what needs to take us to Ministry of Education and say, what are these courses that you are training our students on, or our children on, and releasing them in the market if they can't get jobs? But I must also say this, that even those jobs that do not have skills that Mr. Weda is saying are readily available in the market are not there as many as we may be calling for them. Reason being, when you empower just few people, remember that recently when a survey was done, 97% of Kenyans did not have a single million in their account, or they had just less than $1 million. 97% of Kenyans. We're talking about just about perhaps 3%, okay, that had now over $1 million. Now, if we're talking about a 3% population that is having billions and about 97% do not own $1 million, that means they really can't create jobs and they can't really give employment that is deserved in this country. Other than that, then you want to rely on a government employment that is purely based on tribalism, it's purely based on nepotism, and it's purely based on those who who are working in the government that will employ their kin. That is why if you have nobody working in the government, you are not politically connected, you are not perhaps a powerful individual somewhere, you'll never find your relative working in the government. You saw what is happening in the police force. Just the other day, we've been seeing reports in the police force and saying there's an escalation of the numbers of policemen involved in crime. And they're now saying just this year alone, over 625%, or 25 policemen have been arrested involved in crime. The question is that we need to ask ourselves is when these cops were being, enlisted, when these cops were getting jobs, did they pay a bribe to get those jobs? If they bought those positions, I guarantee you they went into police force knowing that I went through here through corruption and I will get out through corruption. They will do everything possible.
It could also be that Weda has a valid point that we have an issue with our value system. Such that maybe they got there honestly, but because of a carrot that was dangled before them, they now eventually, they wanted the millions. We've become a society that wants instant cash today, for whatever reason. So maybe that's an issue that we have. But let's also look at what is the problem that we have as Kenyans, because we've concentrated on those possibly in school who are looking for jobs and they're not there. Honorable Dege, we have two EABL letting go of 100 people. We have East African Portland Cement of about 520, Telcom Kenya 575. These are huge numbers being let go by huge companies. Now, if these huge companies cannot stay afloat and have to let people go, then there's a problem with the economy.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. In fact, when you look at, I want to touch on what Weda said a bit. There are areas which we are not really going deep into as a country, and we just brush aside. The biggest problem we have in this country also is on taxation. When you look at even the people we look at, they are potential employers. People who are employed, who can employ people at home the way Weda is putting it. In most cases, they can't afford. You'll find even you may be willing to have a maid, you cannot afford a maid. It will force you to force a very young kid to go to school because you feel that one is more affordable than paying a maid at home. Because it's not only honesty, people are overtaxed in this country. When you look at even the income of every Kenyan, anyone who is on salary in Kenya, over 50% of your income goes back to the government. And when you surrender the over 50% in form of tax back to the government, you don't get commensurate service to the tax you have paid. That's why you'll see those big companies are being forced out of business because they are highly taxed. This one is now forcing them now to cut even the size of the employees. The number they have cannot deliver the products they are supposed to churn in the market. Then what will happen? People lose the job, the company dies out, then we don't have anything to bank on. We have to look at, as we are creating jobs, are the people who are in the market are able to sustain themselves? If they are not able to sustain themselves, do you expect them to employ anyone? Do you expect them to meet even their own objectives in their families? If not, then this industry of employment, we are wasting our time. You cannot create a job and employ people when your own income cannot sustain you. How will it sustain somebody who is coming in to help you? How can it sustain your marriage? If you cannot sustain yourself as an individual, you cannot bring another person with you, or you cannot bring another family to sustain, then we have a failed state.
All right, Honorable Elachi, have we reached a point where we can tag in and say that, yes, we are heading towards becoming a failed state? Because one of the things, the effects that is going to have is our level of insecurity is going to become very, very dire. When we have so many young people who are leaving school, not employed, others who maybe had a job but now do not have one. So we go on to what we'd call survival mode. And once we're there, somebody once said that when the poor have nothing to eat, they will eat the rich. And we are headed there if we're not careful.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a failed state. I think, one, I would say that the president has really tried. I think we realized that, yes, we came into, and after the promulgation of the Constitution, came into a new form of government where we had intentions of having the best country. But then we realized, again, we opened up a very serious Pandora where people, as senior counsel says, our values, even the ones who took office, did not care that indeed, yes, we have a country, we have the 47 counties, but our values in terms of appreciating that the tax box is one. that Kenyan who is being taxed is one Kenyan who has to take care of county and take care of national government. And therefore, we stretch so hard, and we've stretched the basket until now, and then now we've come, and at that same time, we came in with huge projects. So we put in two very tough things to Kenyans, and then we have people in government, I'm sorry to say, who sometimes, it's so unfortunate, you find the president really wondering, I have given you a job. Honestly, you want me now to come and micromanage, even when I'm giving you the opportunity to go and do this job the right way. You micromanage, you bring in policies that people don't even understand, you come out, and then here you are. The Bible says a country that taxes people, you have to be very careful. That is a country where now God says something is very wrong in that country.
In that country.
Yes.
Okay.
And therefore, when we come and we must accept as a country, 20 years we did many things wrongly. We gave in into evil, and now we are harvesting what we planted. First, we must accept that. Then secondly, we must now go back on the drawing board. You cannot close that evil the way we are thinking. You just close the taps. No. You must now come up with a mechanism of rethinking. So if you think gambling was wrong, as my governance expert said, you have to ask yourself, by the time Mao were entering Mao, where are these people who gave Mao? The same thing. The person who brought in the first gambling in Kenya is responsible. So you can now come when people have now invested, young people are investing, they have gone into football, they have gone into this, Harambee Stars. So you just close, but you don't have a mechanism of saying that we are moving from this as we go to this. I think the best we can do for our president is, because we are the advisors, as we agree on this, let us have a mechanisms of where they are falling in.
Okay.
Or else, as you say, we will have many young people, and now they will come back eating because they have no place. It's like that program of Kiambu, which was started, called Car Sober. How are you car sober when you are a drunkard and you are given money? You see, I thank God we have, but you can see already the effect. That's why in Gatundu you are seeing what you are seeing, because they were car sober, and the car sober thing was the most worst thing you can imagine, and now it has just been withdrawn, yes, because it was wrong.
With no
but
solution.
the effects are very high. Yeah.
All right,
So,
and I want us to take a few calls just to hear what Kenyans have to say. Remember, you're welcome to let us know what your thoughts are and possibly give solutions, but we'll take calls now. And let's start with the first caller just to hear what they have to say. All right, and as we do that, just to let you know that the phone lines are now open. Would like to hear what you have to say. Maybe you've lost a job. Possibly you're one of those who are, have been let go by a company. Let us know what your situation is as we have this discussion, so that we're not just talking about something abstract, but we have real life cases. All right, and I think as we try and get that sorted out, I'll come to you, Ambrose Weda. Let's talk solutions, because we've highlighted the problem that we have. We've highlighted what the challenge we have as Kenyans is, that we have many companies, taxation, of course, being one of those issues, and we seem to be going higher and higher on taxes. Do we lack a creative government, a government that is thinking about the people as opposed to thinking about how to bridge this gap in non-practical ways? There are very few countries that have managed to build an economy on taxes.
If you look at government, who do you think is very impressive when he talks, when he walks out, when he makes decisions? You're able to say, look, that we're heading. Building the economy is a basic thing. We go back to basics. Basics. Before we do big things, houses, permanent for people. You start with basics. Do they have food? I'm telling you, somebody who can eat and has food to eat may not want to go and attack Beatrice Elaji here. You understand that? Once you are sure I'll have my ugali, and
The very basics.
and even mboga, which I can pick there, and you boil it and you eat it. You say anyway, we live with hope. Now, when you lack even the basic food, and you see Honorable Mr. Jalasi pushing a trolley after trolley from the supermarket, what do? You go to a house and pick the food. Government, go back to basic number one. Are we able to feed ourselves? That is not left to the private sector alone. That is something we take care of, just the way we take care of tea. You see the way tea is taken care of in Kericho? We take care of our maize, our millet, our basic food like that. Number two, this country is a net importer. We are now importing things, including plastic spoons. We go for them. If I want 3 tiles to repair my bathroom, I go to China. All of us are in China. So China is growing, we are going China.
Yeah.
Taxation should be used to grow the economy. So that jokes like going to bring 3 tiles in China, you find tax in such a way that you say, no. Buy it from here.
But you see, we would only be able to do that if we're producing those tiles locally. The problem is that we don't have them locally.
No.
Now, when we go to China, or rather those who import from China now take advantage because we have no alternatives.
Why don't we produce them locally? Because we have not used our taxation system so that it is a lot easier for China to come and manufacture it here, or for a local entrepreneur to establish a system where they are manufacturing. We are importing, I'm using a tile as an example, just so we are importing everything. And what are we exporting? Even the little tea that we have been exporting is gone. Now we are just hoping on the athletes. These are the ones now we are saying, no, we have athletes. Otherwise, when Kenya was strong, we were exporting tea, we were exporting coffee, we were exporting various brands of food products. We had a highly developed tourism that brings in foreign exchange. We were having value that we were taking to the international. What are we taking now? Purchases.
All right. Michael Agwanda, of course we have a problem here because we are a consuming country as opposed to producing. Even the very basics like coffee, tea, agriculture has not been subsidized or supported such that then we can now look at agribusiness as an alternative. We have huge tracts of land that are arable land, but we cannot use it because, again, agriculture doesn't seem to be taking off like it should. Coffee industry is dying. Have we got a government that is literally choking its own people?
Mike, I want to say that Mr. Weda perhaps is saying that we are importing everything. Unfortunately, what I will say is that's just part of it. The whole thing is Kenyans are the ones that are importing against themselves. As a result of corruption, the top government officers, many of them, have companies in China, they have companies in India, they have companies in UAB, and they are the ones that are importing these things and charging us exorbitantly. Remember that they're the very individuals that are policy makers in this country. They will not allow policies that will stop a lot of importation but enhance the manufacturing in this country, simply because they are the big billionaires that we have that have companies abroad and importing these things into our country. Secondly, I want to say this. Kenya is the only country that before you get a job in Mr. Weda's office, you want over 10 documents besides your certificate of qualifications. He wants, bureau, credit bureau certificate to show that you pay your debts. In developed countries, people survive on debts, and therefore that is not a requirement. Everybody should have a debt. That is how the country grows. In developed countries, everybody has a credit card. They've gone cashless, but in this country, before Weda sees you, says, but do you owe anybody money? Yes, I should owe everybody money out there to show that I'm doing something. You need to have a certificate of good conduct. You pay money to DCI so that you get certificate of good conduct. Or you need to have higher loan board certificate to show that you don't have any pay there. What does that have to do with the job that I want to do? In fact, I'm looking for a job so that I can pay for my higher loan job. job. I mean, the question is, we put so much red tapes before we can even start a business, before we can even get employed. We don't have money. We're looking for it, but we have to spend money borrowed. I have to go to Speaker Elachi to borrow me money to pay to all these institutions, so that even if I owe money to somebody, I can corrupt them so that they can stamp that thing for me to be eligible. People are now faking even certificates in River Road so that they can get a job. You can see the kind of desperation we're talking about. In other countries, Michael, what they've done, and that is the biggest war that America is having with China. For your information, they are saying, look, if you want to export things into our country, we will stop you or will charge you very high taxes that will be very prohibitive for you to export these things or import these things to our country. What we'll otherwise agree on is you bring your factories and you manufacture this thing right here so that you create jobs. That is what is happening with the Japanese vehicle. We are importing all of them, but in America, they've set shops so that they are manufacturing in America according to the American standard. They are employing Americans and paying them the same rates. Why wouldn't it happen here? Corruption, corruption. Our leaders are in bed with them. Instead of making policies so that these companies will have to come here and will have to buy these vehicles from here and Kenyans will have to be employed. No, no, no. Would rather not have those policies. Or even if they're there, they cannot be implemented so that we continue wrecking billions and billions. Somebody once asked me a question, and it was Mr. Weda. These people were very corrupt. Have they ever gone to their families and said, I just want to steal a lot of money so that I can leave it for you when I die? Most likely, your children will tell you, we don't need it. You don't have to steal it on our behalf. Policies that are being put in this country are to enrich the few individuals and not every Kenyans in terms of creating jobs.
All right, let's hear from Dennis Karaoke, who is calling from Kasarani. Good morning, Dennis. Go right ahead with your question or comment.
Hello, morning show. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I'm calling from Maroroi, Kasarani.
Okay.
My personal experience is that I'm an undergraduate. And before that, I didn't like the sentiments of the member that said that at the drivers and the house girls. He really put it very narrowly. And I hope he has a driver, by the way, because I'm a driver. Can he employ me?
Okay, what was your issue with what he had to say?
My issue is that he has just narrowed it down because of dishonesty. Not everybody is dishonest in this country, you see?
Okay.
Because you see, the house girl, you can leave a house girl, and like for me, I was brought up with a very loyal and very good house girl, you see? Now telling that the drivers and the house girls, but my point is that currently, I'm doing a sales job, but I've done Bachelor in Business and Information Technology. But I don't like the sentiments of that member of parliament. I really like the guy who's saying that you have to get a good conduct, you have to get a lot of things from your help, and you need this job because you need to pay your loans.
All right, Dennis, maybe just to get your experience, are you currently employed?
Not in my, I'm employed, but not in my field of work, what I studied. I'm currently doing sales.
Okay.
I'm doing sales with Zuku.
All right. Okay. All right, Dennis. Thank you for sharing your experience. And of course, whether it's not just dishonesty. And looking at the time, we may soon need to wind up. But let me come to you, Honorable Odege. We need solutions. Looking at the trend that we've taken, the downward trend that we've taken as a country, we are headed to worse times, given the economy the way it is, and even in terms of security, or rather insecurity with our youth. What do we need to do to make sure that this trend stops?
Let me start by saying that when you look at our competitors, and even as a country, if you want to come out to be an economic power, there is no single country in the world who has emerged to be an economic power with no production. You have to produce, and you have to remain afloat in the market. And that one you can only do when you're doing production. I was in Tanzania just the other day. I was in Arusha. And I came to learn we now have more tourists in Tanzania than Kenya. So that would mean even the tourist sector, we are no longer competing. if we come down to the security and we want to zero in on the youth, we had a very good policy on youth fund and youth empowerment. But when you look at the emphasis we are giving on these facilities, whatever we are giving to this youth sector, like the youth fund, training and everything, is not enough to empower youths. So we need to re-examine ourselves and agree, now that we have a youth ministry or a youth department, what do we want to do in terms of empowering the youths, not only giving something in a form of money, which is not even reaching the targeted youths. We need to come out very strongly and agree. If we have changed now the kind of training we are giving our youths, when they leave those colleges or the training institutes, how do we release them into the market?
Okay.
Are they well empowered and funded enough to start being afloat?
To stay afloat. Weda,
Yes.
hopefully you agree that we need to become more of a producing country than consuming. But when we look at the trend, if we take coffee, for example, which is agriculture, coffee and tea, pyrethrum, all that, they've died because brokers make more money than the farmer, and the government has done nothing to protect that. If you look at the textile industry, Mitumbas have taken over as opposed to, the likes of Kikomi, producing. What is it that needs to be done for us to become a producing country? Because it seems like the government does not have a clue on how to do that.
The people themselves should stop electing people on the basis of party or tribe. Whether it's a Luo, so the Luos are voting for him. That is the sickness that ails us. Let's get people who will fix the job. Coffee is still prime the world over. And Kenyan coffee is still the best the world over. Why do you have a problem here?
We are cutting down.
Local policy. Local policy. When the president comes from a coffee growing area, he doesn't care about it. He cares more about the houses that will be built for people. I'm telling you, that fund that is being used to build houses, if that fund was put into coffee, into tea, into cotton, we would start trading, we start having a face at the international market, we'll start being relevant. So it is local policies, decision making that has made our country to sink. We are selling nothing, we are importing everything. Kenya is an agricultural country. You must have something you specialize in. We are lucky we are agriculture, we are lucky we are tourism, we are lucky we can do manufacturing. Those three areas requires fiscal policies. It requires law. Before, you are not even allowed to approve coffee. When you are talking about brokers are human beings allowed by the system. The same system can remove them in one day. How is China doing theirs? There are no brokers. When they come here to do road, government is involved. When they are constructing, government is involved. There are areas where the government cannot leave it. America has not left certain things to people. They are doing it direct. So this one falls squarely in the kind of leaders we put in offices. As long as we vote them on the basis of party and tribe, and a little money here and there, then pain and suffering still awaits us.
All right, let me take a call from Rose Njoroge as the last call, then I'll come to your closing comments, Beatrice Elachi and Michael Agwanda. Rose, your comment or question?
I agree with Ambrose that there are so many things that the government is doing which are really irrelevant to the people of Kenya. First of all, they give incentives to people or Mzungus who come to do so-called business in Kenya. While they say that they are giving employment to Kenyans, they are not. They pay them very little. Those people are really harassed at their job, and we don't understand where their taxes go. The government does not use anything from those people because those people take their money back home. They get rich within no time because their money is in their pockets. So I wonder why the government cannot give these incentives to local people when they give people like Del Monte and all these people big land in Malindi, in wherever, to cultivate and to send those goods in Europe. They get their own people to buy those goods. When Kenyans try to sell those goods in Europe, they are nowhere to be found. Recently, I went to supermarkets in France, and I found that all the beans, the string beans, the flat beans that we used to buy because they're from Kenya, they're coming from Zimbabwe, they are coming from Rwanda. There's no Kenyan product in those supermarkets. Avocados are all coming from Colombia and all these Latin American countries. Why? Because these people are farming in those countries. They are given everything. So what do we get from the government, really? I wonder.
All right, thank you.
And all these fertilizers, they are so-called free fertilizers or subsidized. They are nowhere to grow anything because they are all rotten.
Absolutely.
Look at the maize. Look at everything we sell.
Okay.
All these flowers are going to their fellow, mzungus in Europe.
All right, thank
And
you, Rose.
buy
I think
one
we've got the point there. Thank you, Rose.
flower.
I'll have to cut you short because of time. Let me come to you, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, a very frustrated Kenyan there. But speaking truth, that you go to other countries today where Kenya used to shine before, whether it is tourism, whether it is agriculture, we seem to be doing worse by the day.
And I want to tell Kenyans today, we need to reflect in ourselves also. We might blame everything on government, but some of these things is the way we have also taken our country. Some people, let's say, for example, Rwanda. Rwanda is because, and I think Kenyans are beyond that, because Kenyans have an opportunity to talk freely about their issues. But then we've gone beyond, because we criticize everything of our country. We literally criticize. Even when the president has tried to bring investors, look at the same Del Monte right now, we are having issues with them. So today, if you're left with this land of Del Monte with all the workers, because now we are having a problem of the lease, would you be able to manage? Is a question we need to ask. So as the way we have Kenyans abroad doing things, let us appreciate first, within the global context of liberalization, we've had to agree that we must trade both ways, but not trade the way we've done with China. The way we've done with China, I think we've done it wrong for our country, and we'll pay. Those consequences will eat us in the next 10 years. We will be feeling the pain of what we've just done to our country. So now let's go back in appreciating your country, appreciating that if you are patriotic to your country, if you are able to protect your country, then you'll find your country moving in all these other countries the way it used to do. So for me, it is the attitude we must appreciate. The president has done his best, honestly.
All right.
But we have also
a part to do as Kenyans.
Part to do.
Michael Agwanda, your closing comments. We're really out of time. I need you to wind up.
Number one, land policy in this country. Nobody is coming to invest in Kenya. In fact, people are going to neighboring country, as Mr. Dege was saying, because the land policy is very clear. You can get land and invest in it. Number two is power. Power in this country is so expensive, while we are at a place where basically we are saying we are overproduced power that can be used in this country. The question is, why is the cost of power still up? Companies will run to a place where production is cheaper. And number three is corruption. You cannot be in a place where basically everywhere you go, somebody demands. Even a title deed, Mike, I don't know whether you've done that recently. Every step of the way you must give money to be able to move
to the next step,
to the other one. And the fourth one is we have to have a national policy that protects agriculture. We've now gone into a place where basically where coffee was, people have bought that land. You know, when Wazungus were here previously, what they did is there was settlement area and there were agricultural areas. If you go to Moroni, there were specific places where they say, this is a residential area, this is an agricultural area, and this is industrial area. The question is, when we came and got independence and decided that it is our right, we decided that even the wrong will become our right, and we've embedded it in our culture where the impunity has gone beyond everything else to a point, even when we know it is so bad for an environment like Mau, we'll still say, but we can reclaim it next time. And we say, you know, we are in this government, another government will come and fix it. But we don't know that these things are building on each other. And the last one is what Mr. Ambrose Weda said. we are electing people who are not representing the interests of this country, but they're representing the interests of their stomach. When you appoint, foreign embassies, you appoint ambassadors, and who are serving in those countries. Who are they appointed to serve? Yes, they are representing this country. They're supposed to represent the president, but on behalf of the Kenyans, they are supposed to sell our commodities out there. Let me tell you on the issue of coffee. You go to other countries now, like United States of America. In fact, Rwanda is now surpassing us on coffee. You'll get Rwanda coffee across the street, but Kenya produces the best coffee, yet we are not selling it even in the United States of America because our embassy there would rather dress nicely and sit and say, we are waiting for President Uhuru Kenyatta. When he comes, we'll make sure he has a place to sit and he has a place, but not about what we have
selling
that we
Kenya.
can sell.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to wind up right there because of time. Thank you very much, Michael Agwanda, Ambrose Weda, Honorable Tom Odege, and Honorable Beatrice Elachi for joining us this morning. That is the way it is in regards to the economy. It's 8 minutes after 8. We take a break.